Picture this for a second. You log into a massive Zoom call.
Okay.
There are hundreds of people in the room, right? But before anyone even says hello, before they even introduce the agenda, the host just looks directly into the camera and starts calling people out by name.
Oh, wow. Just right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, he demands that every single person turn on their video. And then he tells them to change their screen names. He actually says, I see Realme, I see iPhone 16. That is not who you are. Your name is your identity, and your city is your territory.
Man, that is intense.
It really is. He makes it completely clear that if you are hiding behind a black screen, you're just a passive observer. And in this particular room, passive observers do not build businesses.
It's a highly aggressive way to open a meeting, but, it instantly establishes authority.
Yeah.
It forces every single attendee to physically commit to the environment. Like, they aren't just watching a presentation anymore. They're on stage with him.
Exactly. And honestly, it perfectly sets the tone for the audio we are analyzing today. So, welcome to the deep dive. You are joining us for a brand new mission today where we are decoding a fascinating audio recording from a direct selling and entrepreneurship community in India.
A very specific, highly structured world.
Right. The source we're looking at is an event called Webathon Season 16, Episode 6. It's hosted by a guy named Mithun Raj, who is an Emerald executive.
Which basically means he's a mid to high tier leader managing his pretty substantial volume of sales beneath him.
Right. But the main event, the actual core of this deep dive, is a masterclass from a highly successful mentor known as Prem Sir.
Yeah, and his rank is Royal Black Diamond Earner within an organization called Indus Viva.
Which is a company that sells premium health and wellness supplements, things like antioxidant juices and enriched coffees.
And just for context, that title, Royal Black Diamond, that is the absolute pinnacle of their compensation structure. It represents years of sustained, massive revenue generation from a huge network of distributors.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because while the context here is super specific to a multi-level direct selling organization, the actual psychology, the sales tactics, the mindset shifts they are discussing, they are universally applicable.
Oh, absolutely.
We are essentially looking at the raw, unfiltered psychological levers of human motivation and value perception. They are decoding how to manipulate environment and price to close a deal.
Right, and Prem Sir starts off this whole masterclass by dividing the population into two distinct camps. You have the consumer and you have the producer. Or, as he calls it, the holiday mindset versus the festival mindset.
Which is such a fascinating framing device because he points out that during major cultural festivals in India, events like Ugadi, Eid, Bihu, or Diwali, ordinary people just look for a holiday.
Right, they enter a consumer state.
Yeah, they want to break from reality. They want to eat sweets, buy some clothes, relax with their relatives. They just want to be entertained.
But the entrepreneur, the producer, looks at that exact same festival and sees something entirely different. They see opportunity.
Exactly. Prem Sir notes that during these festivals, the street-level economy just explodes. A local vendor selling lassi suddenly moves 100 extra glasses before lunch.
Yeah, or someone selling flowers outside a temple does like 3 to 10 times their normal daily volume.
But what's fascinating here is the underlying economic momentum he's identifying. He uses Bollywood as a prime example, specifically pointing to Salman Khan.
Oh, right, the movie releases.
Yeah. Khan consistently uses the Eid festival to release his biggest blockbuster movies, films like Tigers in the High or Sikandar, and he does it specifically because he knows millions of people are gathering.
Their spirits are high.
Right. And most importantly, their wallets are open. They've already given themselves psychological permission to spend money.
And Prem Sir points out this isn't just a short window, right? He maps out how money flows heavily through the Indian economy starting around September and October, with the Navratri and Ganesh Chaturthi festivals.
Yeah, and that carries a massive wave of spending momentum straight through to March and April.
But what's really interesting is he notes this intense frustration with his own sales teams. Because they'll often come to him and say, hey, it's festival time. Please don't bother me about the business until the holidays are over.
They are actively choosing to revert to the consumer mindset at the exact moment the market is begging them to produce.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of going to a magic show. Are you sitting in the audience just enjoying the trick? Or are you backstage studying the trapdoors?
Oh, that's a great analogy.
But I do want to push back on this a little bit. Is there a danger in viewing every single cultural celebration purely through a transactional lens? I mean, does the entrepreneur ever just get to sit back and enjoy the lassie themselves?
I mean, it's a fair pushback. But we have to look at the mechanics of friction in sales.
Yeah.
He isn't necessarily saying you have to ruin the holiday or ignore your family to make cold calls. He's explaining that during festivals, the natural psychological friction of a buyer is at its absolute lowest point of the year. People are feeling generous. Trying to sell a premium product on, say, a random Tuesday in February requires a massive amount of persuasive energy.
Right, because people are guarded.
Exactly.
Mm.
But selling that same product during a holiday, when people are already primed to purchase gifts and celebrate, it requires a fraction of the effort. So to ignore that momentum just because you want to sleep in is, structurally speaking, inefficient business.
That drive for efficiency makes a lot of sense, especially when you hear the next part of his presentation, because this relentless push to capitalize on every single low-friction opportunity, it really stems from a deep, almost painful empathy for how brutal traditional offline business actually is.
Yeah, the contrast he draws is wild.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because he grounds this entire argument in a highly personal story from like 25, 30 years ago.
Right, the story about his cousin.
Yeah, his cousin who opened a vegetable shop.
And he paints this visceral picture of the physical grind required to just survive in that traditional economy. This cousin had to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Every single day.
Every day. He had to travel to Bangalore's KR market, which is this massive wholesale hub, often in the freezing cold or pouring rain. And he'd have to aggressively haggle for cheap produce, physically haul it back, and organize his stall by 8 in the morning.
Just to sit there, exposed to the elements until nightfall.
Right. And all of that back-breaking labor fighting through wholesale markets, unable to leave the stall, just to earn a profit of maybe 100 to 200 rupees for the entire day.
It's staggering. He equates this to the people you see selling vadapav on the side of the road, or standing outside a temple selling flowers for 12 hours. The physical suffering is basically baked into their profit margin.
Now, contrast that grueling reality with the direct selling model Prem Sir is pitching. He explains that a distributor can literally go for a casual morning walk, bump into a neighbor, have a pleasant little chat about a wellness product like iCoffee, make a quick sale, and instantly generate a 500 rupee profit.
So 30 minutes of casual socializing versus 16 hours of physical suffering for more than double the pay.
Exactly.
But, and this is a huge but, this introduces a massive psychological hurdle. It's the paradox of convenience. Because the modern method is so easy, people treat it like a joke. When things are too easy, we ironically value them less.
Oh, absolutely. Human psychology is funny that way.
Prem Sir uses a Hindi idiom to describe this exact phenomenon. He says, "Gar ki murgi dal barabar,"
which roughly translates to taking what you have right in front of you for granted, treating the premium chicken from your own house as if it's just plain, everyday lentils.
Right. Because the barrier to entry is practically non-existent, people treat the business so lightly. They think, oh, I'll just talk to my friend about this whenever. It's no big deal.
Yeah, if you aren't waking up at 4 a.m. and freezing in a market, your brain doesn't register the activity as real work.
Exactly.
It's a core issue of value perception. If you don't suffer for the gain, you do not respect the gain. The traditional vegetable vendor respects the hustle because his survival literally depends on it.
And the person who made 500 rupees on a morning walk hasn't sacrificed anything, so they have no real commitment.
Right. So the organization realizes they have a massive problem. How do you fix a value perception issue when you obviously can't force your sales team to do manual labor?
You have to manufacture the steak somewhere else.
Exactly. Which leads us to the complete overhaul of their sales pitch and this introduction of the President's Club.
Yeah, to fix that Gar ki murgi problem, the leadership realized they had to drastically raise the psychological stakes. In the audio, they completely break down why their old pitch was failing.
And the old pitch was pretty standard for the industry. You know, pay 12,400 rupees, get 4 products like iPulse or iCare, make a 2,000 rupee profit, and hey, you can eventually earn 2.5 lakhs a week.
Which is 250,000 rupees, a life-changing amount of money.
Right, but nobody believed it.
Nobody believed it because, as Prem Sir states, big profits require the perception of a big investment. You cannot credibly promise a massive scalable business empire built on a measly 12,400 rupee purchase.
It just doesn't compute for people.
Right. He uses another really powerful phrase here. Dan lodge, so man lodge.
Or money's invested, the mind follows.
Sunk costs, so they completely threw out the old playbook. They shifted the focus entirely to this new tier called the President's Club. Now they look a prospect in the eye and ask for an upfront investment of 1.24 lakhs.
That's 1,024,000 rupees. 10 times the original amount.
10 times. And for that, they get 40 products, 4 free products, and an immediate 20,000 rupee retail profit. But crucially, and this is the craziest part to me, they receive a physical object, a heavy metallic card.
Yeah, the audio compares it to a premium American Express card.
Right. And Premser brings up this airplane oxygen mask analogy. Put your own mask on before helping others, meaning you cannot possibly sell the 1.24 lakh package unless you've bought it yourself. You have to actually physically drink the expensive iPulse product before you preach about it to someone else.
It's about conviction.
But I've got to ask, is this metal card just psychological theater? Like, does giving someone a heavy piece of metal actually change their capability as a business person?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is so much more than just a prop. It acts as a physical anchor for a completely new identity.
Okay, how so?
Well, when you hand someone a heavy metallic card, it has weight. It feels expensive. It instantly separates the casual participant from the committed entrepreneur. By raising the price tag to 1.24 lakhs, they created an intentional screening mechanism.
To filter people out.
Exactly. They are purposely weeding out anyone who lacks the courage or the capital to take a real risk. Because finding 5 people to buy some juice is easy. But turning them into ruthless business builders is impossible if they have no skin in the game.
Okay, that makes sense. Because once you drop 1.24 lakhs, your brain is forced to justify that massive investment. You aren't just casually recommending a coffee anymore. You are aggressively defending your own financial decision. Your mind followed your money.
Don Lasho, man lodge. You are locked in.
So what does all of this mean for the actual day-to-day execution? Because once you adopt this high-ticket identity, your environment really has to match the price tag, right? You can't just pitch a premium dream in a cheap setting.
Oh, absolutely not. And Premser is incredibly strict about this choreography. He literally instructs his team that the moment they make their initial profit, they must take 25,000 rupees and immediately spend it on what he calls makeup.
And just to clarify, he doesn't mean actual cosmetics.
Right, no. He means branded clothes, sharp blazers, professional dresses, and he dictates that if their budget allows, they need to buy a brand new Apple iPad or a premium laptop.
Because pulling out an iPad fundamentally changes the pitch.
Completely. Showing a presentation video on the pristine glass of an iPad alters the perceived value compared to showing it on, a cracked smartphone screen.
He even explicitly warns his team against pitching this business at roadside tea stalls.
Yeah, he bans it, basically.
He tells them, you are asking people for over a lakh. You must spend the 250 or 300 rupees to sit in a quiet, premium 3-star or 5-star hotel coffee shop.
Do you conduct your meeting like a corporate executive?
It's atmospheric authority. They are basically choreographing an experience. It's not just about the numbers on the screen. It's about the ambiance of the room.
It is. And he quotes Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam here, the former president of India, who said, "Low thinking is a crime."
Wow.
By forcing his sales team into a 5-star lobby, holding an iPad, he is dictating their internal thoughts through their external environment. Sitting in a luxury space forces you to act like a premium business person. It weeds out that low thinking.
And they reinforce this exclusivity at the corporate level, too. The audio mentions this highly exclusive event held at the Taj Hotel in Bangalore for the very first 100 people who bought into the President's Club.
Right, turning fire into wildfire, as he calls it.
Yeah, they had mindset training in a luxury setting and a factory visit to see the products being made. It's totally immersive. So let's zoom out for a second. We have the festival mindset.
Yeah.
We have the respect for the brutal grind of the 4 a.m. vegetable market.
Right.
We have the massive psychological anchor of the President's Club, the metal cards, the tailored blazers, the iPads, the hotel lobbies. But when you strip all of the theater away, the entire mechanics of this massive operation boil down to a strikingly simple, almost vulnerable formula.
It really does. It's the ultimate distillation of this whole system.
The ultimate financial goal Premser mentions is hitting the cap.
Right.
Capping at 2.5 lakhs a week, which he claims to have done for over 10 years, pulling in 10 to 12 lakhs a month.
Which is incredible consistency.
But to get there, and to qualify for things like the Taj Bangalore batch, the formula he gives them is just 3 words. Find your 2.
Find you 2.
You just need to sponsor 2 committed people. One on the left side of your organization, one on the right side. And once you find them, you have to dedicate your entire life and focus to making them win. If those 2 win, your victory is mathematically guaranteed.
Right. Premser notes he found 20 himself. But technically, the requirement is just 2.
But I have to push back on this because it sounds beautifully simple, right? Just find two people. But relying entirely on the success of two other people is a massive exercise in relinquishing control.
It is a huge leap of faith.
You are effectively putting your own financial ceiling in someone else's hands. How does that actually work?
This raises an important question about delegated success. In a binary structure like this, you cannot succeed through sheer willpower alone. In a traditional corporate job, if you want to earn more, you just outwork the guy next to you.
Okay.
Here, that doesn't work. It forces the entrepreneur out of a selfish mindset and into a mandatory leadership and mentorship role. You have to become a cultivator of talent.
Because if your two people fail, you fail.
Exactly. If you don't pour all of your energy into teaching your two people how to duplicate the system, how to leverage the sunk cost, how to use the five-star hotel lobbies, how to pitch that metal card, then your entire business stalls. Your financial survival is completely bound to your ability to train others to do exactly what you did.
Which perfectly wraps up the whole journey of this deep dive. We started by observing the world as a producer during a festival-seeing opportunity where everyone else just sees a holiday.
Right, finding the path of least resistance.
Then we looked at the brutal, unglamorous grind of traditional business and how easy modern models can make people take the opportunity for granted. The whole Garki-Morgi problem.
And to fix that, they had to engineer their own stakes, using premium pricing, metal cards, and strict environmental rules to basically hack human psychology.
All culminating in this ultimate test of leadership. Finding your two. Surrendering your independent control to build up someone else. It is genuinely fascinating stuff.
It's a masterclass in behavioral engineering.
It really is. And for you, listening to this deep dive right now, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Think about a project, a goal, or maybe a business idea you are currently procrastinating on.
We all have one.
Are you taking it lightly because it just hasn't cost you enough yet? What is the President's Club metal card in your own life? What is the tangible, slightly scary investment you need to make to finally force yourself to take your own goals seriously? Because remember, where the money is invested, the mind follows.
Dan Lodge, so man lodge.
Exactly. Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.